All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the Seattle Seahawks. I have finally found out that somebody has given them some flowers here. We've been talking about the Seattle Seahawks offseason and last season for months on end. They did a phenomenal job in free agency, and the draft has yet to come. Keep in mind, guys, they have 10 total picks in the draft. They have 5 picks on the first 2 days, including pick number 5, where you're going to get a hopeful superstar stud, probably on the defensive side. You also have the 20th pick in the draft, and you have $7.3 million left in cap space. But before we talk about the draft, that's like almost essentially a week away, let's talk real brief about their offseason, because I was reading an article where they're going through every team's offseason thus far, and they gave Seattle an A. I sit here and I'm reading this article. I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much, man. I cover the NFL. I cover the NFL every single day. I make Seahawks videos several times a week. Outside of Seahawks fans, nobody is really talking about this team. And I've been saying this squad, this offseason, their management, they have at least had an A this year. In the offseason, you acquired reacquired Bobby Wagner, I should say. Welcome back. Devin Bush, Julian Love, Dramont Jones, the big time signing, Jerron Reed. When we take a look at Seattle as a whole last season, what was their issue? It was defense. It was simply defense. This was a team with a top 10 offense ranked 9th in the league. Shout out Geno Smith. And just the offense in general. But this is a team that finished 9-8. You know, they were 6-3 at one point in the season. You head on over to Germany, you play Tampa Bay. It just, that kind of was not like, you know, they ended up losing that game and then losing 4 of their next 5. It was just kind of like a momentum loser, I would say. And I'm not saying that specific game. Obviously, when you're like playing, what is it, like 8 hours ahead, it's even for Seattle, it's probably more like 9 hours ahead. You're going to be a little bit sluggish, but that was kind of the turning point in the regular season. However, they still picked up wins. They took down the Jets in the second to last week of the season, like really nice 23-6 win, and then the Rams in the final week of the season. But things are changing. That is my point here. Before we go any further into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Seahawks fans, I love you guys so much. If we get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the world to me. I apologize if there was a bit of an echo. We just moved in actually today, so there might be a bit of an echo, but hopefully everything is all fine. So once again, the offseason, real quick before we get into the draft, because right now is kind of that point in the NFL season where free agency has died down. You know, there's some moves being made here or there. Seattle was unnatural, or uncharacteristically, I should say, aggressive in free agency. And once again, they had the 9th best offense. However, opponents' point per game, they ranked just 25th in the league. That's the 7th worst in the NFL. And when we take a look at rushing yards, they ranked 3rd to last in the league. So what did they focus on in free agency? Well, they focused immediately on that defensive line. You picked up, reacquired, I should say, former Seattle Seahawk Jerron Reed. You made a big-time splash in Dramont Jones. You got back Bobby, you got Devin Bush, you got Julian Love. Both of those two cats are low-risk, high-reward type of moves. That front 7 definitely needed work. That's exactly what the Seahawks focused on. So with the 5th pick and with the 20th pick in the draft, you know, I've seen, it depends on what mock draft you read, and it depends on their personality, because I'll see somebody saying, you know, oh, Tyree Wilson at 5. No, I'm all set. Jalen Carter at 5. No, I'm all set. Devon Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez at 5. I'm all set. You know, Anthony Richardson at 5. I'm all set. It depends on who you're reading for the Seattle Seahawks mock draft. But once again, it's a ton of speculation. Everybody has an opinion, as they should. That's kind of what makes football. For me personally, when I look at the Seahawks team, I'm thinking to myself, all right, would Anthony Richardson at 5, would I be all that upset? Not necessarily, but I think the first 3 picks undisputedly are going to be quarterbacks. You know, we haven't seen too much noise being made because we don't know who quarterback number 1 is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be Bryce Young. We don't know if it's going to be CJ Stroud. So if you're a team like the Houston Texans at pick number 2, or the Colts at pick number 4, or even like the Raiders at pick number 7, and you don't know who's being selected number 1, well, why make a pre-draft move? They're going to wait for the draft. So I still think the first 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks. So what does that leave Seattle? Well, it leaves you either with Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, who's a quarterback hunter, or lockdown cornerbacks, depending on who you prefer, in Christian Gonzalez or Devon Witherspoon. So I've seen so many mock drafts where the Seattle Seahawks trade back just to acquire more draft capital. Well, I'm looking at it, I'm like, they have 10 picks in general. If you're going to move up a pick in a draft, I would think it would be probably more so 20 than 5. At pick number 5, I think there's probably 7 or 8 superstar studs being selected in the first 7 or 8 picks. So I'm taking Jalen Carter. I'm taking Will Anderson Jr. I'm taking Tyree Wilson. I'm taking Witherspoon. I'm taking Gonzalez. And, if shit kind of hits the fan, all right, Anthony Richardson, if the Seahawks take Anthony Richardson, am I upset? Definitely not. The quarterback position is interesting because a huge win for Seattle was re-signing Geno Smith to a 3-year, $75 million contract. Like, just imagine, some guys really got paid. We just saw Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he's well deserving of getting paid about $51 million a year, but use Daniel Jones as an example. He just got a 4-year, $160 million contract. The way I look at it for Seattle is if Geno Smith pans out, perfect. They're going to take a quarterback at some point in the draft. Maybe it's Hendon Hooker. Maybe it's a little bit later on. So you have a developmental quarterback. If Geno Smith does not work out anything close to what it was like last year, which, by the way, I might add, I don't see possible. Geno Smith is a great quarterback. He is a winner. I think especially with Seattle, we saw it last season. They were winning against San Francisco at halftime. He's a winner. He's got a chip on his shoulder. But for some weird reason, let's say the Seahawks season is a disaster. Well, next year's quarterback draft class is completely loaded. So I'm taking somebody at pick number 5 who's going to help me immediately. And also at pick number 20, you're going to have plenty of options. Depending especially on who you take at 5, do you want a guy like JSN? Is JSN still on the board? Do you want a guy like Jordan Addison because you just lost Marquise Goodwin? When we take a look and we zoom out real quick, the key additions the Seahawks team lost aren't that big of a deal. Marquise Goodwin. The wide receiver position, you're still being led by DK and Tyler Lockett, who are studs. You have 3 tight ends, that nice 3 tight end scheme, which forces defenses to adapt. I love it. It lets your offense be creative. It lets you get versatile. You lost Rashad Penny, who is always injured. Marquise Goodwin was the biggest loss. Cody Barton that was a tougher loss, but you got Bobby Wagner back. You got Devin Bush. You got linebacker help. You got front 7 help. So I take a look at the Seahawks team and I'm like, yeah, I'm giving them an A. They've had an A offseason. But I think it will be an A+ by the time the NFL draft is over because, once again, they have the 5th pick, they have the 20th pick, and they have 10 total picks in general. You can get so creative here with so many different needs that I think Seattle, with their free agency and with this upcoming draft, the way the team looked last season, the way some of these guys are progressing, keep in mind, Seattle killed last year's draft. These are NBA-ready guys. So I'm looking at Seattle, I'm like, they're going to win more than 10 games. They might win more than one playoff game. Winning one playoff game is just a thrill in of itself, but obviously we're all thinking about Super Bowls here. Seattle's a team not to be messed with. They're a force to be reckoned with. Everyone's talking about San Francisco in the NFC West, and I'm sitting here thinking, what about Seattle? At least they have their starting quarterback figured out for next season, and they made a bunch of moves on defense and all the reasons I mentioned in today's video. So, guys, let me know what you're thinking. As always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button if you enjoy NFL content. Seahawks fans, seriously, changing my life. I appreciate you guys so much. Every Seahawks video I ever drop, honestly, ever since I started making them about 5 or 6 months ago, you guys bless them all. So if we get this video to 250 likes, that would be awesome. Guys, the most important part is this is a community here. I'm just a dude with a mic and an opinion. I want to hear your thoughts down below, especially with the draft coming up in like a week. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it.